The original idea come from a project me and Nick Knight worked on about 10 years ago for an invitation for one of my shows. For It's a Jungle Out There in London, the show, under Borough Market. And it was a morphing process of the model Deborah Shaw and a Thompson Gazelle. We'd already touched on this morphing process with animal and beast before. So when I signed with Puma to do this line of trainers and to come up with an image, Puma is such a distinct label as it is. I wanted to bring McQueen into it because it was a collaboration between a fashion designer and an athletics wear designer. And so we brought in the idea of the man cat, almost like the werewolf. It's almost one of them 50s Hollywood movie type things. Because, there's always that psychological thing of having animal instinct. And so it's just a move on from there to actually put an image together of animal instinct in a product. To me, it's quite simple to do, but the hard part of it was more to do with Nick. It was actually my initial idea, then Nick has to execute it from what I think into the actual finished thing. That process was hard.
Okay, so try a test back.
We cast it to the nearest thing we could get to what we thought a Puma would look like in a male form, in a human form. I think it needed to be athletic, it needed to be slick, and it needed to be hairless because of the morphing, because we wanted to transfer the Puma skin to the man's skin and vice versa. A man covered in hair does actually look like a werewolf. So what we did was we made the Puma hairless. The cat was pretty lazy. You're expecting quite a lean, sophisticated...
Like a panther, right?
Like a panther, going through the trees. But actually you find the cat Puma, the only Puma we could find in England was in this zoo, and it wasn't very cooperative. It snarled a lot, sat on its arse.
Maybe try opening the gate here.
No, it's not.
We had to give another distinction between the man and the cat, and what that was the muscle groups of the human body.
Maybe like stretching arms.
Yeah.
Back quite quite like twisted up.
Yeah, okay.
Then I can start to elongate your neck.
What we did was pump up all the biceps, the triceps, the abs, and morph that into the cat. So all what we were doing was morphing backwards and forwards, moving muscle groups. It was kind of building a brand new anatomy for a cat based on the human muscle groups. And so, it was quite really time consuming. The hardest part, I think, was when it come to the head, because I have actually an antique Puma skull, and so what we did, we photographed the human head, photographed the Puma skull. The head on the final image, it's half man and half cat, but all based on the skeletal structure of the skull, not on the surface. We photographed the human skull and the cat skull, and then morphed them before we put the skin on top. But because the post-production on it is long and laborious, so I'm going backwards and forwards all the time to the studio to check over muscle groups and the proportion of the towel and the balance of the head to the towel, and it's but there's a time when you just got to say stop. You can't go any further, otherwise you start reverting back to the actual animal itself. I wouldn't like to come across this animal. I really wouldn't. Not even in the zoo behind a cage. It's a scary animal. I mean, a skinless man cat with the abdominals and pecs and quads and biceps of a man, but in the form of a cat. You're talking about a muscle queen cat. It's just like, it's more scary than a bloody werewolf.